In light of recent events that have unfolded, it really left me unsettled about the future of law, the process, and justice. And it all asks a question. What is law? What is justice? Are we all a part of the same process? Law is defined by a system of rules, which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members, and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties. I see people mainly apply the lack of justice to be a black or white issue, but fail to see that the implications of two systems being created within our own nation is not an issue of color, but rather an issue of humanity, the people versus the government. I'm Janelle Batts, and this is Point Blank. We have seen countless examples over the past 8 years of how the elite of America are working overtime to circumvent law within our nation. So let's go back. Let's go back to 2018 during the confirmation hearings of Brett Kavanaugh. His entire life and the prospect of him becoming a Supreme Court justice was completely turned on its head when Christine Blasey Ford accused him of sexual assault, an act that she claimed happened 30 years ago during college. Not only was she completely inconsistent the entire hearing, but they couldn't get the corroboration of her own story from those that she claimed were there and had witnessed her in distress. We all know that essentially the entire thing collapsed, and later it became quite clear that she had lied. This was also the time when the Me Too movement was in full swing. Men were being accused of sexual assault like it was a day of the week. So what's my point? During those hearings, I posted a photo that was inside of Yale Law School. It's a photo next to Brett Kavanaugh's portrait with a sign that read, "We believe Dr. Christine Blasey Ford." What was alarming about this was the idea that there were law students that were literally throwing the process, law, justice, out of the window in the name of politics and their personal school of thought. These are future lawyers and future judges we're talking about here. And I believe that should have absolutely alarmed the American people. Me Too presented a swarm of accusations against men. It was as if women knew that accusing a man of rape was like a loaded gun, ready to fire, and how it could end a man's career, his aspirations, even his life. Due process went out the window, and Me Too became weaponized. What about law enforcement? Every time a shooting included a black male, the narrative of racism and outright murder was always brought to the table, automatically. If the police officer was white, it was surely racism and it was surely murder. People wanted justice to be done based upon the color of their skin or the sex of the individual, not the process or the facts. The mob wanted justice based upon their level of woundedness and anger, not the law and the boundaries of the law. What about the McCloskeys that attempted to defend their home from peaceful protesters that tried to rush their property? Did any of those people get arrested or even held accountable in any way? The McCloskeys had their home raided. Their firearms were taken away, along with the national label of white supremacist. And this is justice? What about Kyle Rittenhouse? According to a jury of his peers, he was within legal grounds to do what he did. This is not based upon the media or the feelings of those that despise the Second Amendment or conservatives as a whole. This is based upon evidence, facts, law. Yet people wanted him guilty because of what he represents. A white male who had the audacity to defend his community when others wouldn't. This is an issue of the American people having the right to defend themselves. Meanwhile, no one is talking about the trial of Andrew Coffey and his full acquittal. Coffey is a black man who defended his home against what some would call an overzealous and militarized SWAT team that initiated a raid on his home. But the media made sure you didn't hear about this trial because the media couldn't use it to divide us and create more chaos. The system worked in both cases, yet people don't understand that justice manifests differently. Government agencies have been weaponized against we the people. Law has been weaponized against parents, property owners, truth tellers, the equalizers. So is this where we are? Is this where we're headed? Where law is just a tool to punish political opponents or silence individuals that don't align with whatever narrative radical liberalism is pushing? Please understand that there must always be defenders of law. There must always be men and women that will step in and be the equators of the system. If we allow mob to rule, then they become law. Law cannot be interpreted through the emotions of one or many. It cannot be interpreted through politics. Law cannot be used to bully and silence political opponents. If we allow this to continue in this nation, then we no longer have law. We no longer have order. We no longer have a republic. And we no longer have a nation. I'm Janelle Batts, and this is Point Blank. If you enjoyed this content and you would like to have access to our entire catalog, please go to project46.com and subscribe.